All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Masterclass. This particular course within the Masterclass, we're going to be talking about finding off market deals, which really creates an advantage for you as a real estate investor. This is Module 1. This is the introduction module. This is where we're going to talk about what we're going to be covering in the class and kind of going over some ground rules as you get into the system that I've created for finding these off market deals. So just a quick disclosure before we get too far. Just want to make you aware, I am not a licensed attorney, accountant, financial advisor, broker, agent, or any other kind of licensed individual. I am just a student of real estate investing, just like yourselves. I just have a lot of experience and have had a lot of success with real estate investing. Some of the examples I'm going to share with you today, these are examples that I've done. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go out and find that specific deal and make that amount of money. You're going to create your own empire, and you're going to go out and do your own deals and make your own lifestyle and your own real estate investing business that's geared towards your specific needs and desires. So keep that in mind as we continue forward. But what we're going to cover today is an amazing system that I use on a daily basis to get out and to find deals, and I call this the Deal Spotter system. This system is made up of 5 steps and 4 filters, so 1 filter between each step. The very first step to the Deal Spotter system is lead generation. Just like any business, you have to have leads. There's got to be a way to bring inventory and product in, and so you have to generate those leads. In a normal business, this is done by a sales department, but what's interesting about real estate investing is a lot of that stuff, a lot of those skills that are used by salespeople when you've got a product, we use those on both sides of the deal. We have to generate leads when we buy, and then we also have to generate leads when we sell. Today, we're focused specifically on the buying side, finding that property that we can go out and buy, and the different things that we can do with it once we find that property. So step 1 is lead generation. We're going to talk about where to find those deals. And then the filter number 1 is seller desire. We're going to gauge as to whether or not the owners of the property that we found even want to find or even want to sell us their property. Then at stage 2, if they're open to receiving an offer from us, we're going to do what's called a quick analysis. This is where we dive into a lot of the math. I'm going to give you guys some tools and some equations and algorithms to use to quickly and simply figure out if this is going to be a deal on paper or not. Then filter 2 is mortgage check. We're going to dive deeply into that, but basically what we get down to is the quick analysis is going to tell you what you can buy that property for in order for it to be profitable. It's going to generate a property offer price. If the homeowner owes more on their mortgage than what your offer price is, they're not going to be able to easily sell you their house. You could go through a short sale and those kinds of things, but this system is designed to really pick up the low-hanging fruit as efficiently as possible. So that's short sales is a completely different strategy. We're going to use this to just quickly get into a deal. Step 3 then is we create an offer. We're going to talk about the legal documents to use, the language to use, some negotiation techniques. Then we're going to go into filter number 3, which is at that point the seller decides. You've found an off-market property, probably someone that's distressed and needs to get out of their home quick. You've measured their desire, and it's passed the filter. You've run the math on it, and you know that they can afford to sell you their house if it's made it to this point. So now we're making the offer. We make them that offer, and then the filter number 3 is that the seller decides whether or not they want to sell you their house for that price or not. And then we go if it passes through that filter, we go into step 4, which is long analysis. In the long analysis phase, that's where we actually go into the property and look for problems that might be hiding in the walls or in the attic. We call those the red flags, right? A lot of times what you'll find when we get into this step is that you can use red flags in real estate to your advantage. You can use that to make more money. A lot of people think that, hey, if I find a red flag, that means run away. Not necessarily. But knowing about the red flags is what keeps us safe. It's part of what lowers the risk in real estate investing, because real estate investing can be extremely risky if you don't know what you're doing. Step 4 is one of those areas that lowers your risk incredibly, and we're going to talk about how those red flags can potentially make you even more money. So once it passes that step, then we go into filter number 4. You decide what you're going to do with it, which goes hand in hand with step 5, follow through. You're going to decide, hey, am I going to cancel this offer? Am I going to go ahead and buy it? Am I going to wholesale it? What am I going to do with it, right? So we're going to talk about all of these things as we go through these modules. Now, I want to speak in this introduction module. I want to speak to mindset, because what I find is a lot of people in this industry, people that want to break into real estate investing in some form or another, whether that's fix and flips or rentals, a lot of people just, they've watched the TV shows and they've kind of caught on to this romantic idea of being a real estate investor, but they don't actually go out and seek professional education in entering into that field. And I think that's crazy. And by the way, the very merit of you listening to this course means that you have. So well done. You passed you passed that test, right? But a lot of people, it's a very DIY oriented industry, and I think that's one of its follies. People go out and they try this, some of these very advanced strategies with very little knowledge going into it, and end up hurting themselves. And I think that that's given our industry, the real estate investing industry, a really bad name, because people get hurt and then they badmouth it. They say, "Oh, well, real estate doesn't work." It's not that real estate investing doesn't work; it's that they didn't know how to do it, and so they got hurt, right? So these systems are designed to allow us to go out and find these deals at scale and efficiently, and then also be able to analyze them to make sure that they are actually good deals, so that we're lowering our risk going into it. Knowledge is the thing that lowers risk. But back to mindset. So these people that come in and try it just because they saw it on TV, all of us grew up in what I call the employee mindset. And if you read my book, Mindset to Millionaire, I talk a lot about the two mindsets, right? The employee mindset versus the wealthy mindset. Most people were raised in the employee mindset. We were taught, go to school, get good grades so you can get into a good college and get a degree so you can get a job. And a job, we're taught, is one of the only ways to make money, when really it's the worst way to make money. There's so many better ways, entrepreneurialism, real estate investing, so many different ways that we can go out and make so much more money than having a job. So I want to talk about kind of the two different mindsets as you approach this system, because one will set you up to fail and the other will set you up to win. So the first mindset is the employee mindset. We take what we learned in school about going out and getting a job and we apply it to investing. And if you've got the very DIY attitude about it, you may be susceptible to this, so be careful. But as far as finding deals, the employee mindset individual, the first place they think is, hey, I need to hire an agent, right? The problem with that, and that's where the MLS comes from. The MLS stands for the multiple listing service, and we're going to talk about that a lot in future modules in this course. But the MLS is the tool that realtors use to list properties. Now, the problem with using an agent to find investment properties is that most people who list their home with an agent are the type of seller that just want to make as much money as they possibly can on the sale of their home. And this is a problem because as real estate investors, we need discounts. We've got to make money. That's why we're doing this. So by buying a property at top dollar is not going to work. We need to find those discounts. So, you're not shopping in the right department if you're going out and looking for an agent, and that's the only way you're expecting to find deals. Trulia, Zillow, Redfin, Homey, those are all very employee mindset areas to go look for deals. You're not going to find a whole lot on there. You may find some. I'm not saying it's impossible. You may find some, and I have purchased properties off of many of those platforms before, but there's not enough to make it a sustainable income and support a lifestyle if those are the only places that you're looking. You're going to hear things like inventory is low. It's a seller's market, right? If you know how to invest in real estate, then it doesn't matter what the market's doing. Now, your strategies are going to have to adjust, but if you're an educated real estate investor, you're going to know what to do when the market is going up. There's strategies for that. You're going to know what to do when the market is going sideways. There's strategies for that. And you're going to know what to do when the market drops. There's strategies for that as well. We don't have to stop buying properties. We don't have to stop selling properties. It's just a matter of what strategies we use based on what the market's doing. So having an excuse of, well, the inventory is low. Well, that means that all you're doing is talking to agents, right? Or it's a seller's market. Well, that means that you don't know what you're doing because that wouldn't matter. You could still make money in real estate investing in any market, right? So the employee mindset is very much has a scarcity attitude. Don't go into this with a scarcity attitude. If it's not working, it's because of your level of knowledge. And as you apply this system, as we go through these modules, we're going to start out, you're going to be just barely learning this stuff. And just like anything, if it was basketball or football or playing the piano or a musical instrument of some kind, you're going to suck at it at first. So plan on sucking at it, right? And the only way to get better at it is by practicing correct principles. The more you practice, the more you do this, the better you're going to get at it, and your success quotient should follow your ability and your skill as you develop it. So the best marker to be able to tell where you're at in this process is the success that you're having. If you're having very low success, then I want you to stay in the mindset of, well, I just need to practice more. You're going to be getting a lot of no's as we go through this process, and that's okay. That's part of it. You have to be aware of it. You have to know how to use it. But, we're going to talk about it as we get into this. I want you to think of, as we talk about just going to agents, these are mostly retail customers that list their homes with agents. So the analogy I would use is, if you're going to start a business selling fruit, you're not going to go buy your fruit from a high-end grocery store and then try to resell it in your fruit stand. Because if you're buying it from a high-end grocery store, it's already going to be marked up. You're not going to be able to mark it up anymore and make any money. We have to buy these properties at a discount so we can turn around and resell them and make a profit, or turn around and rent them out and make a profit, right? So to oppose that, we have, in contrast, the wealthy mindset. The wealthy mindset has a very abundant attitude. There's always enough deals. There's always enough money out there to go do these deals. And our goals are to solve people's problems. In the wealthy mindset, in real estate investing, we have a saying: it's not a good deal unless it's a good deal for everybody involved. We're going to talk about that a little later. Here, just kind of a preview of some of the things we're going to be talking about in the next module as we talk about step 1, which is lead generation. We're finding people with problems. As a real estate investor, your best bet at getting a property at a discount is solving somebody's problem. So, talking about people that are in bankruptcy, people that are in foreclosure, people that are going through divorces, people who have passed away and left their property behind, and now it's the family's, problem to deal with. Sometimes the property itself is in distress, chemical contamination like meth or mold. All of these things are areas where we can come in and solve problems, usually with cash or with some sort of creative negotiation, and actually solve that problem for the homeowner or for the property owner and make a profit in the process. It doesn't have to be, real estate investing should not be something where you have to go put some old lady out on the street in order to get a good deal. If it's not a good deal for everybody involved, it's not a good deal. So let's talk about some basic ground rules as we get into the meat and the substance of this course. So rule number 1, no emotional investing. Everybody's primary goal in investing should be to make money. That's why we're all doing this. Now, there can be passion behind it. A big reason why I invest in real estate is because I like helping people. That's also a big reason why I teach people how to invest in real estate, because it's the thing that set me free financially and gave me the time freedom that I've always wanted. And I want to help other people achieve that. I love helping people. Real estate investing gives me that avenue. But we don't buy properties the same way we would buy our own homes. You have to remove the emotion from it. Your primary goal in real estate investing is to make money. And you may say, well, no, it's not. My primary goal is to help people. Well, back to riding an airplane, what do they tell you when in that safety announcement that they do at the beginning of a flight? If the oxygen masks come out, put your own mask on first and then help others. Because if you don't put your oxygen mask on first and you pass out, that limits the number of people that you can help. It's the same with wealth creation. Make sure that your household is taken care of first. Make sure that you are taken care of first so that we can go help other people. And by putting as the first priority making money in every deal, that should strip the emotion out of the deal. You're not going to buy properties because you like the location, because you want your family to live there, because you want your kids to go to that school. You're not going to buy properties because you like the colors. You're not going to buy properties because you like the layout. You may hate the layout of properties you buy. I know there are several homes, probably most of the homes that I've done fix and flips on, that I wouldn't live in that home. You wouldn't, I mean, I would, there's no question, I would never live in that house. But I buy it because the numbers work and because somebody would live in that house, right? And I can make it beautiful for what it is and sell it to somebody who, it's their dream home. So, remove the emotion completely from your investing. It's all about the numbers. Now, rule number 2 is learn to love the word no. I kind of brought this up a few slides ago. You are going to get a lot of no's, and that's okay, right? This is a process where you are, if you have any sales background at all, you already understand this concept, which is awesome. That's going to give you an advantage. But for those of you who do not have any sales experience, that's okay. This is a skill that you can acquire, that you can learn, right? And it's going to be very important that you learn this skill in order to be successful with the finding system. I would even go as far as saying that if you don't learn to love the word no, then you're not going to be successful with this particular system. You will get mostly no's. And what I mean by that is you're going to be out talking to homeowners and you're going to ask them if they're open to receiving an offer. You're going to be giving them offers, and you will mostly get no's, and that's okay. It comes down to statistics. There is a specific number, and you need to find out what that is for you. But there is a specific number of, if you contact 100 homeowners, or if you contact 150 homeowners, or if you contact 300 homeowners, or whatever your number is, you will be able to track that data down to, okay, it takes me contacting 200 homeowners in order to get one deal, right? And that's an important metric to track, because then you know how many no's you need to get. When we talked about I had the slide up of the system. There's 5 steps, but there are 4 filters in between each one of those steps. And the purpose of the filter is to get rid of all the crap properties. You don't want the bad properties. Part of keeping us safe is getting rid of the ones that won't keep us safe, right? And so the filters are designed to do just that. And that is stop any property from passing through to the next step that's not going to be something that will create success for us. So loving the word no will keep you safe. Also, loving the word no will help you track how many properties, like I said before, how many properties it's going to take and homeowners you need to talk to in order to get that yes. And you can start using that kind of like counting your footsteps. If it's 25 steps from your couch to your fridge or whatever, you can start counting those footsteps of, okay, I got to know that's 1 step. I got another no, there's another step. And you can count up these steps all the way to, if you're averaging 200 homeowners to get a property, you know exactly where you're at in the process. So loving the word no is very important. Don't let it emotionally affect you. A lot of people hate the word no because they feel like it's a personal rejection. They don't even know you. These are strangers you're talking to, right? They're not personally rejecting you. They're just rejecting the numbers. And the numbers are the numbers. We're not investing emotionally. We're investing based on the numbers. We can't manipulate the numbers. The numbers are what they are, right? So we're just representatives of the numbers. We're relaying a message. Here's the number, right? And they can say no to that number, and then we move on to the next thing. So learn to love the word no. Let's talk about rule number 3. Never fudge the numbers, right? That was a good segue, because rule number 3, don't, and I see newer students do this all the time. People on their first deal or maybe their second deal, they'll get all the way to that very, maybe the long analysis, which is step 4. They get deep into the process with one of the properties they're working on. And they're all excited because, this is going to be my first deal. This is going to be the first one I close on, or the second one I close on, right? And then they realize once they've gone through one of the steps, you know what? There's this additional $10,000 cost item that we have to add to our numbers, which puts our profit margin below our threshold. Well, if we just fudge it a little bit, if we're okay with making a little bit of money and we fudge it over here and we fudge it over there, that is how you get yourself in trouble. Never fudge the numbers. Never be willing to sacrifice your standards of what a good investment is. And we're going to talk about that, about how to set your standards. But never be willing to sacrifice your standards of what a good investment is in order to make a property work. It either works or it doesn't. The numbers are the numbers. They're not for us to change. The numbers are the numbers. We're just here to run the property against the numbers and see if it's going to work, right? So never fudge the numbers is rule number 3. Now let's move on to rule number 4. Remember your investor DNA. And what I mean by that, and this is going to be important especially for those who are looking to get into rentals or into fix and flips right out the gate. Your investor DNA is going to dictate your target demographic. So let's say you're doing fix and flips. You may be a low-end investor when it comes to fix and flips. And that means that you're going to have a low-income audience. That means you're going to be working in neighborhoods that are low income. That is your investor DNA. That will help you and guide you through this process so that you're not wasting your time. If your wheelhouse is going to be doing a low-end remodel, which you can make money in. You can make money in low-end, mid-range, high-end. You can make money in all of them, right? You just need to decide what your investor DNA is. The best litmus test for that, and ask yourself this question, and you may need to ponder on it for a while, or you may know it right away. But the question you need to ask yourself is, if you were to approach if you were to walk into a potential fix and flip, or if you're looking to get into rentals right away into a potential rental, is your attitude, let's use fix and flips as an example. So if you walk into a potential fix and flip, is your attitude going to be, how much of this crap can I tear out and replace? I want to put new baseboards in. I want to put new moldings in. I want to put new doors in. I want to put new windows in. I want to, paint the whole place. I want to put a new furnace and a new kitchen and new appliances and all those things. If that's the case, then you're probably a high-end investor. And that's your investor DNA. So you should only be looking at, even in step 1, lead generation, you should only be looking at properties that are in high-end neighborhoods. Now, you may be a mid-range investor, which is kind of a mix of the two, or you may be a low-end investor, which is, if you walk into a potential fix and flip and you say, you know what, how much of this crap can we save? Can we just paint over the wallpaper and put new carpet down and call it good? If that's kind of where you naturally gravitate, that's okay. There's a market for you. It's a low-end market, and you can make money there too. You can do more low-end properties. You're going to make a little bit less on them, and that's okay because you can do more of them with the same amount of money in the same amount of time. So it all evens out. It doesn't really matter. You're not, there's no edge that any one of the demographics have. But following your natural instinct in your investor DNA will keep you safe. And so let's use a rental example as well. So if you walk into a potential rental and you're thinking to yourself, you have to decide what types of problems you want to deal with. And when I say problems, I'm talking about problems that your tenants have, right? For example, low-end properties, they're going to get the snot beat out of them. And that's okay, right? Because they're low-end properties and it's just a quick splash of paint between tenants and maybe some new carpet or just cleaning the carpet will work. But the nice thing about that is that those tenants will rarely call you. They may call you, if something major happens, like the furnace breaks or the house catches on fire, right? But they're not going to call you for piddly little onesie-twosie things, which is kind of nice. I like the low-end rentals for that reason. Now, on the flip side, you can make a lot more cash flow per door or per property on the high end, but you deal with a lot more issues, a lot smaller problems with the high end tenants. For example, on a high end property, if you're renting out a property for $5,000 or $6,000 a month, you're going to get phone calls where they want you to come over and change the batteries in their garage door opener. I mean, you're going to get all sorts of phone calls for all sorts of things, but the payoff's higher. So you need to decide where you fit in. And again, the mid-range is somewhere between the two. So you need to decide where you're going to fit in there as an investor and stick to your investor DNA. Now, it's not something that you're going to have to stick with for your entire career, but it is something that's important to understand going in, and it's going to protect you going in to your first and your second and maybe your fourth, fifth, and 10th deal. Eventually, you can expand into all markets. But as you're learning, remember your first deal, your second deal, your third deal, yeah, we want to make money on them, but also they're learning opportunities. You've never done that before, right? So it's a chance to get some experience and to gain some knowledge and maybe scrape your knees a little bit. But as you start to become more and more comfortable with it, then you're going to be able to move on to other areas. But for your first several deals, stick to your investor DNA. Okay, so let's talk about the deal spotter system. Just a quick review of what we were talking about: lead generation, seller desire, quick analysis, mortgage check, make an offer. Then at that point, the seller decides. We go in, we do our long analysis on the property. Then you decide what you want to do with it and follow through with your decision. Very, very important to this process. Treat this like an assembly line, okay? So we're not going to be doing quick analysis steps while we're in lead generation mode. If you block out an hour on your calculator to do lead generation, don't do any quick analysis on any of those properties, because most of them will be no. Most of them are not going to pass that first filter. You're going to call, a handful of property owners and ask them if they're open to, and I'm going to share scripts with you on what to say, but you're going to ask them if they're open to selling their property to you. Most of them are going to say no, which means they don't even pass through that filter. So if you spent the time to start doing the math and running the numbers and pulling comps on that property just to get a no after a 10-second phone call conversation, then you've wasted a whole lot of time. So treat this like an assembly line. When you're doing step one, only do step one. And then when you're doing step two, only do step two. You must treat this process like an assembly line. Okay? So that puts us at the end of module 1. So module 2, we're going to go into step 1, which is lead generation. We're going to talk about all of the techniques and tools that you need to start generating leads in real estate. So stay tuned and let's jump into that next module. We'll see you over there.